Hey guys, Dr. Nomad here. Today I'm here with a video that I've been asked to make for about a few months now. I haven't had time, so let me address the issue at hand. Are vanilla players living in the past, and should we move on? Well, to answer that, we're going to have to go back a little bit. About 10 years ago, when I only owned an Xbox, when I was just playing Halo 2, and primarily Morrowind, I had never played an MMO before. The closest I had ever gotten to one was when I would go over to my friend's place and watch his big brother play EverQuest, which was a lot of fun, and it looked like a cool game, but I never got the chance to play it myself. I always daydreamed at school how cool it would be to get my very own computer with my very own MMO, to just sit around all day, having online adventures, thinking of all the shenanigans I can get in and all the new friends I can make. But avast, that never came. That was until in September of 2006 when my father surprised me with an early Christmas gift. That would be my new computer with my very own copy of World of Warcraft, and boy, I was fucking stoked. I remember just sitting there, excited, reading the front cover of the box all the way to the back. This was back when you actually had to pop CDs in and wait for the entire game to install. But it didn't matter. I had my own MMO, my own PC, and I was ready to have my own online adventures. The game finally finished installing, I jumped on my desk chair, and I was ready to play. And let me tell you, I was not disappointed. The game was everything it said it was and more. Oddly enough, my first hour playing, I never ended up doing any questing. I had rolled a dwarf hunter, and I just started roaming around the starting area, looking at NPCs, looking at all the different creatures, and thinking just how fucking cool this was. I played on the Alliance for about a few weeks. This was before I knew they were full of homosexuals and people that looked just like Boogie. I switched over to the Horde, and I was there to stay. I loved the faction, I loved the players that played on it. It was just an all-around good time. Now, one of the things I loved so much about vanilla Warcraft was just how fun and challenging it was at the same time. Blizzard really knew how to balance the game back then, without fucking spoon-feeding me. I could get on, and I had to earn my gear set. I had to earn my mount. Everything was earned, not just given to me. You actually had to read the quests back then, and they had some really cool storylines to them, and the lore in them wasn't half bad either. I remember the community was also better. Due to the fact that there was no server phasing back then, you would actually run into the same players. I remember questing in Thousand Needles with a few guys. We did a pickup group, we did some quests, and then we went our separate ways. Later on, when I finally ended up hitting endgame content, I ended up running into the guys again. Years went by. Some things in WoW changed, new expansions came out, but overall it still maintained the same level of quality it had since it first came out. New races, new dungeons, new raids. I had no problem with that. Lich King finally ended up coming out. I played through it, hit level cap, and I ended up putting World of Warcraft down for about a year. I had just moved into my new apartment, I had a new job, and I needed to devote some time to my personal life. But in the back of my mind, Warcraft was always going to be there, it was never going to change, and it was still going to be the game it was back in 2006. Boy, was I wrong. Eventually, the World of Warcraft expansion Cataclysm launched. I didn't think anything of it. I didn't really look at much of the press involving it, so I thought, it's just another WoW expansion. I'll play it when I get the chance. Eventually, I did get the chance. I ended up installing Cataclysm, hopped on, and was horrified to what I discovered. Lands had changed, hunters didn't have mana anymore. The expansion served as more of a soft reboot rather than an expansion tacked on to vanilla. Everything had changed. The game was too different. Things were too easy. Server phasing started. Dungeon Finder became a thing. This was not the World of Warcraft I fell in love with. I played Mists of Pandaria, I played Warlords of Draenor, and I had finally had enough. This was not the same game anymore. However, things changed. At the end of 2014, I ended up finding a small private server channel on YouTube. This YouTuber mainly showed off vanilla private server videos at the time, which I took an interest in. Vanilla WoW? Like it used to be? No way that could be true. Now, I had always heard about private servers in the past. I even played on one or two of them. Not on the vanilla client though. They ranged from decent to really bad, so I didn't have my hopes high. I still ended up that night downloading the vanilla client off Pirate Bay. I jumped on, and I wasn't sure what I was in for. The private server, while a little buggy, and while not perfect, it was still the vanilla client of the game. I could finally relive my old memories. I could finally re-enjoy the old Warcraft game that I fell in love with so many years ago. Since then, Bigger and better private servers have come out. Chronos 2 and Nostalrius come to mind. Though Nostalrius was shut down some months ago, it is relaunching next month, and everybody is hype as fuck for it. Which brings me back to the question that started this whole video. Is playing on vanilla Warcraft a waste of time, and are we living in the past? To which I say, no. There is nothing wrong with wanting to go back and play the game that you fell in love with. I think Nixium said it best. If you wanted to, you could stick the original Halo Combat Evolved in your original Xbox and play the game as it was originally presented to you. Nowadays, with World of Warcraft, unless you download a private server, you're not going to be playing the original thing. I've actually heard some YouTubers, whom I'm not going to name in this video, state that by playing on a private server, you're basically just wasting your time. To which I reply, what the fuck is the difference? If I died tomorrow, and I was taken to another plane of existence, do you think the very first thing they're going to ask me if I tell them about Warcraft is, hey, did you play Warcraft on a legit server, or did you play on a third-party server? At the end of the day, it's just a video game. It's one thing to have nostalgia goggles, but it's also another thing for a company to absolutely refuse its user base a progression server or a legacy server based on their own arrogance or their own self-pride. I think I've made my point in this video. Get excited, guys. Nostalrius is out in 1 month, so grab your favorite drink, grab your favorite fuck pillow, and get ready to enjoy the bliss that is vanilla WoW. Take care, guys.